Okay, our next topic that we're going to be examining is the idea of graphing functions. Now that we've talked about our vertical line test and how to determine what graphs actually are functions, we're going to be looking at ways to graph certain functions. Now there's a variety of functions we could look at, but we're going to find a way that we don't have to memorize a whole bunch of stuff. And the idea is by using things called translations and reflections. So we're actually going to be focusing on four basic graphs. That's the x squared function, the absolute value function, and the square root function, and the 1 over x function. We're going to look at what their graphs look like. Now we could do this by plotting points, evaluate the function at a lot of values. Unlike straight lines, these graphs do actually change direction. So we're just going to look at the graphs and be using those basic graphs as a means to do it. First is the x squared function. It has a U-shaped graph. It's centered around, starting its bottom point is at 0, 0 at the origin. And so you have a U-shape for x squared. The second one is absolute value. Absolute value also has its low point at 0, 0. And it has a V-shape to its graph. Square root of x also starts at 0, 0. It's kind of a half of a curve, kind of a half C-shaped type graph, and that's its basic shape. And again, you can get every one of these by plotting different values for x and y and then trying to draw a smooth graph over them. We're just trying to save a little bit of time and work. The final one is 1 over x. Now 1 over x does not have 0, 0 as a point on its graph, unlike the first three, but it kind of hinges around 0, 0. It's a lazy curve where the x and y axes are lines that it kind of gets close to. Never actually touches those. In college algebra you learn about those called, you call those asymptotes. The vertical line, it's called a vertical asymptote. That horizontal line that the graph's approaching is called a horizontal asymptote. So those are the four basic graphs, and we're going to be looking at how we can add things to those equations and how that will affect the actual graph of the equation. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the upcoming videos. But those are the four basic shapes that you're going to want to be able to recognize, and we'll be talking about those in upcoming videos. Doing stuff with those graphs, but this is just to kind of introduce you to what those graphs are and their basic shapes.